Hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you're all taking care of yourselves and having a gentle week so far. Today, we are diving into a world of immense power, systemic corruption, and shadowy alliances that controlled the literal skyline of one of Canada's greatest cities. It's a story about a man who rose from the ranks of everyday labor unions to become so terrifyingly influential that society dubbed him Le Roi de la Construction, the king of construction. But as we always see, when you spend decades balancing on the tightrope between legitimate power and organized crime, the fall isn't just inevitable, it's lethal. This is the deeply fascinating, dark story of André Desjardins. Born into a working-class Quebec family, André was a man possessed by an absolute, unyielding hunger for control. He was brilliant, ruthlessly charismatic, and understood how to weaponize the collective power of the working man. By 1970, at just 39 years old, André had climbed to the absolute apex of labor politics, serving as the powerful president of the Conseil de Métiers de la Construction and the vice president of the massive Federation de Travailleurs du Québec, the Quebec Federation of Labor. To the average worker, André was supposed to be their champion, fighting for fair wages and safer job sites. But behind the closed doors of Montreal's elite restaurants and smoky union halls, André was constructing a completely different architecture. He allegedly formed deep, lucrative alliances with the Catroni crime family and other prominent figures in the Montreal underworld. If a developer wanted to build a skyscraper, a highway, or a stadium in Quebec, they didn't just need permits. They needed André Desjardins' personal blessing. He controlled the labor force with an iron fist, and anyone who dared to defy him was met with sudden strikes, mysterious site fires, or brutal physical intimidation. By 1974, the sheer scale of violence and financial extortion running through Quebec's construction industry grew so flagrant that the provincial government could no longer look away. The tipping point arrived during the notorious James Bay Hydro Project riots, where rival union factions literally sabotaged millions of dollars of infrastructure to seize control of the job site. In response, the government launched the historic Cliche Commission, a massive public inquiry headed by the fearless Judge Robert Cliche, alongside a young, ambitious lawyer named Brian Mulroney. The commission's goal was simple: tear open the belly of the construction unions and expose the rot inside. Day after day, the public sat transfixed as televised hearings revealed a staggering web of bribery, underworld kickbacks, and systematic thuggery. And sitting right at the absolute center of this unfolding scandal was André Desjardins. Witnesses detailed how André had successfully sold out his own union members to enrich himself and his mob associates. The inquiry completely shattered his public reputation. The facade of the legitimate union leader was stripped away, exposing the profile of an organized crime figure. Realizing his empire was crumbling, André was forced to resign from his high-ranking union posts in disgrace. The commission had effectively dethroned the king of construction. But for a man like André, losing his legitimate title didn't mean he was ready to retire into the shadows. It just meant he was going to take his criminal talents completely underground. Stripped of his official union power, André turned his focus entirely to a highly lucrative, predatory criminal enterprise that thrives on human desperation: loan sharking. Utilizing the millions he had amassed during his reign over the construction industry, André became one of the primary street banks for the Montreal underworld. If a desperate gambler, a failing businessman, or a drug trafficker needed quick, untraceable cash, they went to André. But his money carried a devastating price. André charged astronomical, usurious interest rates, often referred to as the VIG. If a debtor missed a single weekly payment, the friendly demeanor evaporated, replaced by the same ruthless muscle that had once controlled the job sites. For over 2 decades, André operated as a titan of the Montreal black market, building a massive network of debtors that included high society figures, corrupt politicians, and high-ranking members of various mafia factions, including the rising Rizzuto crime family. He felt completely untouchable, a grandfatherly figure of crime operating from the comfort of expensive lounges and private clubs, entirely unaware that the delicate balance of power in Montreal's underworld was beginning to violently shift beneath his feet. By the spring of 2000, the city of Montreal was engulfed in the bloody, catastrophic Quebec biker war, a brutal conflict between the Hells Angels and the rock machine that spilled into every corner of the criminal economy. The rules of the street were being rewritten with bullets, and old-school operators like André were suddenly finding themselves navigating a highly volatile, unstable landscape. On the evening of Thursday, April 27th, 2000, 69-year-old André Desjardins drove his luxury sedan to a quiet shopping center parking lot in the neighborhood of Saputo, in Montreal's East End. He was scheduled to meet someone, likely a high-profile debtor or a criminal associate he believed he could trust. André parked his vehicle near a row of closed shops, the engine idling as he waited in the damp twilight. He had spent his entire life reading people, detecting traps, and staying one step ahead of the law and his rivals. But on this night, his instincts failed him. Out of the gathering shadows, a lone, unidentified gunman stepped toward the driver's side window. Moving with a cold, terrifyingly professional speed, the assassin pulled a firearm and unleashed a barrage of bullets directly through the glass. André was struck multiple times at point-blank range, dying instantly in the driver's seat. The gunman slipped back into the darkness, blending into the suburban landscape before the echoes of the gunshots could even fade from the air. When Montreal police arrived at the shopping center, they instantly recognized the gravity of the scene. Leroy de la Construction was dead. The execution-style hit carried all the definitive hallmarks of a professional contract killing. As detectives launched a massive homicide investigation and searched André's private properties, they uncovered a literal treasure trove of criminal data. Hidden away in his secure safes were detailed, handwritten ledgers containing the names of hundreds of individuals who owed him money, totaling millions of dollars. The ledger read like a who's who of Montreal high society, traditional organized crime, and biker gang leadership. And that is precisely why the investigation slammed into a permanent brick wall. The motive for his murder was completely overwhelming. Virtually anyone named in those books had $1 million reason to want André Desjardins permanently removed from the equation. Eliminating the king of construction meant their debts were instantly wiped clean. Despite extensive interviews and forensic sweeps, the identity of the shooter and the entity who paid for the contract have never been discovered. André carried the true answer straight to his grave. His life serves as a profoundly dark, cautionary tale about the illusion of criminal power. André spent decades building an empire out of fear, extortion, and manipulation, believing his wealth and connections made him bulletproof. But in the cold reality of the underworld, titles like king mean absolutely nothing when the debt collector finally arrives at your window. I want to know what you guys think about this incredibly complex case. Do you think André was silenced by a desperate high-profile debtor, or was he a casualty of the violent shifting of power in Montreal's biker war? Let's talk about it down in the comments below, and please keep the discussion deeply respectful and constructive. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, look out for one another, and I'll see you in the next deep dive. Bye.